But I think the biggest brush with process was when I built an e-commerce store in Indonesia, because that's what you do when you're 25. And
Random.
The idea of staying in a stable job scared me more than leaving.
It took me a very long time to get my name out in the I mean, well, comparatively not long, because I've just been here for 19 months.
Well, I was going to say, you've only been here for 19 months, but not that very long. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of She's the Boss Female Entrepreneur Stories. I am really excited today because I'm joined by one of my clients, Oyin of Niyo Enterprise. She is the founder of an amazing social enterprise based in Nottingham. And there's going to be so many questions that I want to ask you because I know about you, which I normally don't know the people that I interview that well. So I'm quite excited about kind of delving in a little bit deeper. Before I start, if you're watching for the first time, please make sure that you click that subscribe button and make sure that you write a comment, because I know that there's going to be something that Oyin says today that is going to resonate with you. So when it does, please make sure that you write a comment in that comment box. So Oyin, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
I realize I'm calling you your shorthand name. Apologies. Oyinkansola Adebayo. Did I say it correctly?
I think that's one of the best that people have called me, but it's Oyinkansola Adebayo. Yes.
Okay, I was close. So tell us about Niyo Enterprise. What is it? Why did you start it? And what does the business do?
So Niyo Enterprise is an organization that it prides itself in using hair as a tool to empower women. So how we do that is that we run workshops where we teach women how to braid. We also have a pool of mobile hairdressers who basically support and help women across Nottingham and across the Midlands to beautify them. So to give them hairstyles and stuff like that. Aside from that, we are also very passionate about enterprise. So we run interventions where we help people do something with the ideas that they have. Because we find that a lot of young women have a lot of ideas, but because of one reason or the other, we don't tend to actually go ahead and actually launch those things. So our focus is really helping people thrive and to be able to get them to launch from the ideas that they have into like a viable business. So yes, we're also looking to diversify as well, even in the area of hair. So looking into diversifying the area of hair technology, because there's obviously a lot of problems that Black women face that a lot of the technology we have right now doesn't actually answer. So yeah, that's what we do.
Exciting stuff. Obviously, as a Black woman with black hair, it particularly speaks to me. And as a Black woman in business also. What was your inspiration behind starting the business and the varying elements?
So my inspiration in starting Niyo Enterprise has always been embedded in the fact that I'm 23 years old, so I've been in business or social enterprise or social impact work for as young as the age of 13. So I've been really active, did a lot of campaigns, really very political, very vocal about my views about how we need to make impact in the world. And I worked with several social enterprises, Alcohol Concern, I've worked with Share Action, I worked with Urban Herd, youth engagement specialist. And for me, what I found was that there was a lot of great work being done with young people or with service users, but I lacked, what I found lacked was that tangibility. And so as a person, I'm naturally talented in the area of doing hair. So I do hair, and my friends will always tell me, "Oh, you do my hair." And I just started charging a fee slowly. And then suddenly I just found myself with a clientele of over 100 people. And so I thought, why not merge my passions about social impact and hair together? And actually hair is something that all women want to talk about. We all relate in that area. So then I thought, why not merge those two? And actually, because the real way we're going to make social impact is to actually get people out of their disadvantage, out of the cycle of disadvantage. And a lot of that cycle of disadvantage is rooted in poverty. And so hair is a good money maker. I mean, the industry is a massive one. So I thought merge both of them together to build people's confidence, to build people's, to make people come out of poverty. So yeah.
What has been the biggest challenge that you faced embarking on this journey?
Biggest challenge in embarking on this journey, I think for me, it's unlearning and learning new things. So what do I mean by that? So because I've come from a background where I've been, involved in social impact, really, really passionate about the campaigning aspects of things, I've just thought, you know what, let's just make impact. let's just make impact. Let's just make some noise about all the great things that we can do to change somebody's life. So I think the challenge for me is on learning that I'm putting my business hat on. So I study currently economics and management, and I'm very good at understanding the theory behind business, but actually being able to apply those concepts for me has been quite challenging, because I've had to think about the nice, not that business people aren't nice, the soft side of me who really, really likes to help people, but as well, try to make the business sustainable, but trying to make sustainable income for the business.
And for a lot of social enterprises and social entrepreneurs that I meet, there is always that wrestle between the kind of, I need to make commercial income, but I also need to have a social impact.
Yeah.
In moving forward, what kind of strategies do you think that you're going to employ to be able to keep that kind of commercial business hat on, as opposed to just focusing on the social impact side?
So I've positioned myself now to be able to focus on our finances and our cash flow. So that, that the strategy of introducing technology into the business actually would allow for, for commercial, for that commercial cash flow to come in. And actually one of my dreams is to be the Unilever of Black female businesses. And so if I want to achieve that, I must be able to be self-reliant. So that's kind of what we're working towards in doing. So looking at the cash flow, launching out into tech. And if we launch into tech, we worked it out to make £1 million. All we need to do is to sell, a technology product for £200 to 5,000 people. That sounds really easy to do. At the same time, we need a kind of strategy. So it's working alongside that and being able to take that contribution from that technology aspect of things and contribute that into our social side.
Mm-hmm.
Aside from that, we're also still going to be applying for bids, but it's really, and one of the things I'm learning is to really, really get to know the bid funders, to understand their mindset, to understand what they want, and actually if it fits within our criteria. Because one of the things that we don't want to do is to do something that they want us to do, but it actually comes out like that. It doesn't align with our values. So those are the two main strategies right now that we're working towards, as well as obviously the workshops. So we're splitting the workshops to service users and commercial users, because we find that, there's a lot of hairdressers that qualify as hairdressers today, but they don't know how to do Afro hair, because actually Afro hair is not taught in the scale that it should be taught in college or in school. So being able to offer that top up to hairdressers commercially as well would be a way of making sustainable income for the business.
So a lot, basically.
Yeah.
And getting to have that kind of more commercial mindset, have you felt any guilt with not focusing on the social side? Because that's something that a lot of social entrepreneurs, and even me when I was a social entrepreneur, I wouldn't say I am anymore, but when I was running a social enterprise and I had to really on a daily basis focus on commercial and I guess revenue generating activity, I really felt guilty about the fact that, oh my gosh, but I'm not having the impact, and all of these people are not going to get my help anymore. Oh my gosh, this is terrible. Have you had that feeling, and how do you, I guess, overcome those kind of thoughts?
Oh, yes, I do. I think because of how multifaceted the business is, I feel guilty in every aspect, of the business. If I like to say, so sometimes when I go to like hair networking events, it's just purely about hair. People are like, what are you? I'm just like, I'm a business owner that likes to merge hair and social impact. And a lot of people don't understand that, and the people make me feel guilty. Well, it's not the intention, but what I feel is that I tend to feel guilty in that space because they're like, well, this is just about hair, like you can't make impact. It doesn't make sense for you to do that. And then you go to the social impact side of things, and everyone's just talking about how do we help people gain their confidence, how to get people out of crime, all these things. So I'm always find myself quite torn between both because it's not a thing that people have merged or it's commonly merged. So yes, I do find myself guilty. But what is my resolve? I think my resolve is actually what I go back to why I started this. The foundation of the business. The foundation of the business is not to necessarily make me a rich millionaire. In fact, it will happen as a result of it. But the foundation of it is actually I just want to make impact. And if I'm going to make impact, I need to be someone that can stand their ground and have the income to be able to do that, as well as my business must be able to kind of offer that as well. So that's kind of my resolve. And I realize that I'm not doing this to please any man. I'm doing this because, I feel a sense of calling, and I feel like the world kind of needs my input, in solving these issues.
I find it interesting that in the hair space, people would be confused about how you can have impact, because I personally think your business model makes absolute sense. I get it. I think that people just don't understand social enterprise. And I started my social enterprise in 2007, and it's obviously 2019 now. And I remember in 2007, people just not getting it. And I'm quite disappointed that it's 2019 and people still don't get it.
I think it's straightforward. Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's fairly straightforward, but I think it's still quite a new concept to a lot of people. I mean, even looking at the legal structures of setting up your business as a social enterprise, I think it's one of the places that it's one of the areas that still doesn't have a clear, if you like to say, a clear legal structure, because you can set up your social enterprise in different ways. And so if you set it up as a private limited company and you call yourself a social enterprise, now some bid funders will say, no, you're not a social enterprise, and you're a commercial business. But then I like to look at people like Tom's. Tom's, I don't know the legal structure, but even when I study them, they are commercial, but they kind of give out. You look at people like Vitae London. I will say Vitae London is a social enterprise. They sell watches, and a contribution of their watches goes to children in South Africa to provide them education. And so I think it's pretty new. And I mean, I guess that's a good opportunity right now to disrupt the market, even though it's quite new, and to change people's mindset about what social enterprise is. But that needs to start with the people that are leading that space, right? And kind of changing the narrative. So the narrative is changing. I mean, the conversation is changing away from grants to, self-sustaining. So that's good.
Mm-hmm. In terms of your passion for social impact, obviously you alluded to the fact that you'd worked with loads of different impact businesses and stuff, but how does your personal background, impact your passion for impact?
Okay. I don't know. I think it's been quite natural to me. Okay. I don't know. I can't tell you that this is kind of how I started a journey, but it's been quite natural to me. I've been someone who I don't like injustice. When I say injustice, I get quite annoyed about it. So that's kind of one of the reasons why. And I mean, I guess because there's been a lot of injustice done towards me myself. So that's kind of why that's kind of my personal journey. Just to give a bit of context as well, listen to the story of my dad and my mom. They didn't necessarily come from privileged background. In fact, they came from a quite a poor background. Although they had lots of resources. I mean, like my granddad had a farm and all that stuff, but they were still quite poor. So my dad had to fund himself to school. He didn't have school shoes. And so all of that stuff, and all their tenacity, all their grit, to get to where they got to today kind of inspired me to be like, okay, I want to be able to see that, changed. And obviously as an economic student, I study different economies. And I look at the injustice kind of done to several other economies. And I'm like, we need to change the narrative. So yeah, that's personally why I've got to where I am today.
And obviously I know you, so I know that generally you have, I would say, an entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah.
Is that something that has kind of come out more latterly, or as a child or teenager? Was there anything that you used to do that people would say, okay, we can see that she's going to be an entrepreneur, or she's a hustler, or whatever the terminology is?
Well, okay, I think I'm a hustler, but I think I'm quite, you get different types of hustlers. You get some hustlers who are they're just hustlers, yeah. But I feel like I've got a hustler with an edge. I'm a hustler with an edge, okay. I know how to hustle, but subtly hustle. So I think, my dad passed away. My dad passed away now, but before my dad passed away, we used to work on his bids. So he worked for major telecommunication companies in Nigeria, and he basically implemented infrastructure in derelict villages, like telecommunication infrastructure in derelict villages. So he'll put telephone masts across derelict villages, and we would sit down for 24 hours literally working on these proposals. So being able to hustle in that sense, for me, is kind of built up that skill. And I mean, my mom is a nurse, but really and truly, I tell my mom that she's a saleswoman. She will find opportunity in everything. My mom will buy a kettle and she's like, she's going to resell it. So even being an accountant for my mom has kind of given me that kind of hustle as well. And I'm a person that I don't sit still. I see opportunity in everything. And so, yeah, I guess, it's in the blood, but it's been kind of nurtured all throughout the time through experience with working with my parents, also through experience with working with various social enterprises. I mean, we used to go out and do a lot of market research stuff, and I used to get rejected, but I was like, you know what? That's gonna fuel me to ask more questions, ask more people more questions. So yeah, it's been nurtured, but I think it's part of my nature as well.
And you kind of said that the journey started because you started plaiting hair, and then people kept coming to you. Mm-hmm. When did you, in terms of you going out and registering and saying we're going to be called Niyo Enterprise and this is a business, what was that process like? Was you fearful? Because you could have just continued plaiting hair and saying, actually, I don't have any appointments until 6 months, I'm booked up, I can put you in then. But you decided, okay, I'm going to turn this into a business. What made you turn it into a business as opposed to just continuing it? And what was you kind of most excited about in terms of becoming a business owner and scared of? Because I'm sure that everybody before they start a business has some sort of fears or doubts. So it's kind of 3 questions. What made you say, I'm going to be a business owner as opposed to just someone who plaits hair? What was you excited about and what was you fearful of?
So this idea of merging social impact and hair has been literally boiling in me without me realizing, boiling in me since 2011, as far as I can remember. And it's always been boiling. My friends who had blogs or had photographic companies, they would just like say, can I interview you? And the more I get interviewed, I realize, hang on, Oyin, you need to actually merge this, because you're talking about how you're passionate about social impact, how you're working with all these social enterprises, and how you're literally being able to perform a lot of results. And I will go to like places like Diageo, which is a conglomerate of alcohol companies, and I will tell them that they need to change their marketing budget, because what they're doing is literally destroying the lives of young people. And I started to think, okay, I need to actually merge these two things together. So I did a pilot events, a launch event, if you like to say, of Niyo Enterprise. In fact, the word Niyo Enterprise was not there then. It was still called Niyo Hair, and it was still not very much formed. After I'd gone through a process of writing my business plan, really understanding how to really merge the two. And again, it's changed since then massively. And that event, a lot of people were like, oh my gosh, like this has been like the best event I've ever been to. It was called Beyond Hair 2017. I wasn't planning to do any more. It was just a launch. And like best event I've ever been to. Like it's really kind of given me like clarity. It's helped me. It really just empowered a lot of people. And then I thought, okay, you need to set up the business. So I didn't set it up straight away. This was February. I just opened a separate bank account. And then May came, and I don't know, I just had a feeling like I needed to do it now. So I said, okay, set it up now. So I set up, I went to a company's house, literally registered, and I had done a lot of research, set it up, and I was so scared. I was like, oh my gosh, it's real. I was really petrified because it was a new thing, and things became like real now. Legit, if you like to say. I had to now start to think of accounts. So yeah, that's the transition. It wasn't necessarily a traditional one. I didn't actually start it straight away. It just kind of slowly happened. And now, how was I excited? Yes, I was excited. Oh yeah, I was excited because we went for a Dragon's Den, like a Nottingham version of Dragon's Den pitch in April before we set it up in May. Again, the business was not really set up till May. And we didn't win the pitch. We didn't get the funding that we wanted, but the judges loved us so much that they were like, oh, we've got all these connections. We got, you can apply for funding here and also get mentorship from this person, the dean of Nottingham Business School. Yeah, so that kind of gave me that excitement, like, yeah, I can actually do this. This is actually real. But it was very daunting at the same time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you was excited, but it was daunting. What was the actual experience of it, like the first 6 to 12 months? How did the actual reality differ from the expectation?
Right. So I went into this because I went into this business thinking that I would be able to just apply for funding and get it. Okay, get every piece of funding, because I'd helped and done a lot of funding applications for other social enterprises in the past, and we always got to interview when I wrote these applications. But when it came to mine, like nothing was happening. The only funding that we got was that initial one, the £5,000 from Nottingham Building Society, and from that point, everyone that we kept applying to was like, this sounds very like a really ambitious business, it sounds very commercial. And I was just like, this is what I was talking about earlier on, but I don't want to understand social, my idea. So everyone kept saying, this sounds very fantastic. We just don't think it's a social enterprise because it's still not focused on the people. And I was like, we're making more people employable. I don't know. And so the reality of the 6 to 12 months was really much it was very much up and down. We got a lot of surprise, miraculous, if you like to say, money just given to us just randomly by like people that thought, oh, I like you, I'll just give you some money. But when we actually started applying for the bids, it was just straight rejects all the time. And so that got me to think, okay, right, what's going on wrong here? I need to find a coach. And so that's when I was on the search for a coach, and my friend told me about you, Daniela. And then Daniela was like, you need to stop relying on bids. You need to be self-sustainable. And I was like, oh, shocker, because all this while, having all this experience with social enterprises since the age of 13, all we did was apply for funding to do our work. Mm-hmm. And then to hear that actually you can actually make money for yourself, I was a bit like, okay. So it's been as I said, unlearning and learning process, and I guess it's been really positive. So yeah.
No, I can really relate to you saying about when you were going for these pitches or bids, etc., and people not understanding, because that was my experience early on in the business. People they couldn't get it. And as I said earlier, I couldn't understand why they couldn't get it. And as I've come out of that space and looking in, I get why people don't get it, because I don't think that I was articulating it properly. And even when I
Right.
was articulating it properly, they don't understand that people that are commercial for some reason can't understand that you're not solely commercial.
Mm.
And then if you're looking at kind of the bids, they can't understand why your impact is not bigger. But actually, I think can go hand in hand.
Yeah.
I think really it's just for the right groups of businesses, and hopefully you'll be one of those, to
Yeah.
do it and prove it and be the case study, the blueprint to show that actually we can do this without being consistently reliant on external grants and funds and stuff. So if
Yeah.
you're watching and you run a social enterprise, don't put all of your eggs in this reliance on funding, because they can say no. And
100%.
if they say no, now you don't have any money and therefore there is no business. And I think I said this to you before, there's a huge difference between a business and a series of funded projects. And I guess the question is, which one are you trying to be? And I think we know that you're trying to be a business. So it's really just about working out how you're going to generate income commercially to help you with that impact. In terms of your personal life, I know that you're studying.
Yes.
How do you juggle being a student and having commitments such as dissertations and essays and exams with being committed to your business and events and I guess managing your clients?
Okay, I think according to my peers, they're like, I don't know how you do it. I look like an anomaly in my in my class a lot of the time. I mean, sometimes I don't know how I do it, but what I try to do is I try to really, really organize my week, not organize my days. So I tend to write everything on a blackboard that I need to do in the week, and then I tend to have a to-do list type of journal that I write. Like I literally time block what to do, what I'm going to be doing when. Now, the nature of business is that things come up. I mean, someone could email me today and be like, "Oh, I found out that you do this. Can you come to this event like in 2 days?" And at the same time, I may have a meeting with my groups from university, and I have to like kind of turn down the university group work. And so that's when it starts to get challenging. So I just tend to like reprioritize my time in that area, and all the time it's not always the most comfortable for people and things like that. Now, other times where sometimes business looks more attractive because I'm doing my financials, right, and it's getting exciting. I'm just like, I just need to focus on this. It's not very. I won't advise you to always do this. I will tend to like leave my academics for a little bit and do that. I mean, I'm also one of those people that I can write a 3,000 word report in like 5 hours and still come up with a first. I mean, I did it. No one take this advice, but like I remember there was a time where it was super, super busy around when we had our Beyond Hair 2018, a day after Beyond Hair 2019, sorry, a day after Beyond Hair 2019, I had a deadline, and I planned it extensively, and I literally wrote it in one night, and I still came out with a first.
Lucky you.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's also that practice of like knowing how to write throughout. So if you already know what you're talking about, you can actually just kind of write it down. But yeah, it is difficult. It can get mentally draining at times. I get quite tired at times, but I just knowing when to like take a step back and to just rest is what I've learned in this time as well. And there's sometimes where I just don't want to do anything because it just can get quite overwhelming, and so I just take a pause and I come back again the next day or so.
Yeah, rest is important, because even if you can do it, you don't want to keep on going until you can't. So it's always better to take a break and rest and recharge. Who has been the greatest supporter of you on this journey, and what has that meant to you, and what difference has it made to how you've moved forward in business?
I feel like I'm supported by a lot of people, which is always good. It's in different seasons or different times of business. I've had different types of supporters. But I think one person that remains consistent is my mom. You know, like if my mom is going to Nigeria, for example, she'll come back with like five five suitcases worth of like hair, and she's like, well, this is another thing, and she will give me like ideas of how to like diversify the business. And she, as I said, she's a saleswoman, so she like naturally, so she'll be like, oh yeah, you know, you could do this, you do that. And so consistently my mom, and she's kind of like injected a lot of like faith in me when I just not had faith in my business or in life in general. So yeah, my mom has been one of the greatest supporters. Also mentors as well have supported me massively. Again, in the times when I've just felt like I couldn't do it, I've had like people like yourself, you know, my senior pastor. I've had like the Sylvesters. I've had like the dean of the business school. I've had a pool of people really, really supporting me and really connecting me to the right people sometimes when I don't know who to connect with. But yeah, and friends as well. And my business partner, Laolu, has really, really supported as well the journey. So yes.
Has there been people that haven't supported?
I mean, yes, it's always the case. It is always the case. Not everyone's going to believe in your vision until they see it come to fruition. And because we're in that stage where we're still growing and we're still emerging, not everyone's going to understand. And I'm not going to blame them for not doing that, you know, because they don't understand, right? So yeah, I've had a couple of friends that have not supported. I've expected support, and I've communicated my expectations, but they've still not supported. But I don't take it too personal, because I see them not just, you know, I don't see them as they don't have a right, or they don't have a must to support me. But then again, it really just boils down to whether they're truly my friends or truly people that I want to be friends with.
How do you keep those people around or get rid of them? Because no, and I ask this genuinely because I always see a lot of stuff on social media.
Yeah.
At least once a day of someone saying real friends would have shared this, real friends will pay the real price, blah blah blah. But nobody ever says, if you have someone that's not supporting you, this is what you do, or this is what you don't do. So what advice, because you seem to have quite a good handle on it, what would you say? Because for me, for the most part, as long as no one's not saying anything to me, I'll just ignore it. At the point when you start saying negative things, then I cut you off. But I don't know if that's the way you do it, or if that's even a good way of doing it.
Okay, how do I manage that? I think what I like to boil it down to, like in business, my customers are not my friends. Okay, so if my friends are not my customers, in fact, that's fine, that's okay. I mean, if I'm only selling to my friends, I don't know if I really have a business, if that makes sense. And at the same time, familiarity as well. I've gone through that process where I've got a team, and actually half of them are my friends. Actually, I'm not able to manage them that well because there is a level of familiarity. And so I like to sometimes distinguish friendship from customer business relationship. But it doesn't mean that my friends cannot support me, if that makes sense, in business. By sharing what I'm saying, how do I manage it? I think for me, because I don't take things too personal a lot. And I mean, I like to give people the benefit of the doubt, which could be good and not good. So I'm like, oh yeah, maybe they're just not interested, but it still hurts a little bit, you know. And so I'll communicate my expectations, and then I'll readjust my friendship according to that. You know, I readjust it if I feel like I've communicated my expectations. I've had friends who would just be like, oh yeah, I couldn't make your event, but here's like my contribution to the ticket, you know. But I've also had friends where like you know, asking me for a goodie bag from an event after, but like, didn't even like share my stuff. And I'm just like, and I just see as that's just their mindset right there and then. And it takes education to change that. So, yeah.
So going into kind of a different space now, what has been the greatest piece of advice you've ever been personally given?
What's the greatest piece of advice? That your understanding of your identity is literally is literally the determinant of your success in business. That's kind of the greatest piece of advice. So how you understand who you are and your psychology as a business owner is like your measure of success. Because if you've got the hunger, if you've got the drive, if you've got the determination in business, you can actually do anything. I think Tony Robbins said something once, and I truly agree with it. He said, business ownership is 80% psychology and 20% mechanical. So it's 80% about how you think and what you think about yourself as a business owner, and 20% the operations. So if I think I'm going to make £100 million tomorrow, you know, that would actually give me the energy to be able to go ahead and go look at the mechanics of making that £100 million. So yeah, that's the greatest advice.
And what's 3 pieces of advice you would give to somebody who wants to start their own social enterprise or business?
So I will say go, but go with a plan. So a lot of the times people are so quick to execute, you know, especially in Black business as well. You know, people think, okay, I'm going to do a logo, I'm going to open an Instagram page, and that's me starting business. No, I think it's so important to have a plan. And I mean, I took time to plan my business, write a business plan before I started, but I realized actually there's still a lot of planning that I still neglected, and actually it set me back. You know, a lot of financial planning that I under planned, and it set me back. So if you plan adequately, you can be more successful. That's first thing. I also think getting a business coach or a business mentor is really important, but don't just get any business coach, because you need to get a business coach that has been through a similar journey to you, and is able to, has made some of the mistakes that you may just about to make, and they're actually able to correct you from experience and from wisdom. Also, I think keeping a close eye on your finances, because without finances, your business is dead, really. With no money, your business doesn't exist. Your strategies. So I'm always innovating your strategies as well, because you may think of a strategy today and a competitor comes in, and if you forgot to innovate for the past 6 months, you know, like you come out of business. And also your processes. So customer processes. So how do you communicate with customers? Marketing processes, as well as like employment processes and stuff like that. So those are my 3 pieces of advice.
I feel like that was about 7.
Oh, no.
I don't think that's true. But no, the more the better. Thank you. And if people want to find out more about you, about Niyo Enterprise, where can they access that information?
So you can go on our website, www.niyoenterprise.com. Also, we're on Instagram at Niyo Enterprise. We're on Facebook, Niyo Enterprise, and we're on Twitter, Niyo Enterprise _. You can also find us on LinkedIn, Niyo Enterprise as well. So it's Niyo Enterprise across the board.
Thank you so much for speaking with me today. And thank you for those of you who are watching. I hope you found that useful. I hope that there's plenty of nuggets that Oyin's just shared that you can go away and implement in your own businesses. And if you've enjoyed that, please don't forget to click that like button. Please share with anyone in your networks who you think that may find this useful. And if you haven't already done so, make sure you click that subscribe button. And most importantly, remember to think big, take action, and keep pushing. Thanks for watching. And Oyin, thank you again for...
Thank you.